I think Bella wants to vlog. Favorite high school teacher? That's a tough one. I don't know, I guess I could default and say, oh, Mrs. Flint, my choir teacher, yay! But that's mostly just because I was a choir kid in general. Looking back on my high school experience, I think that if I had anybody as my choir teacher, that person would have been my favorite unless they were a horrible human being. Let's see, I don't think I could really narrow it down to just one favorite teacher. I also liked the assistant choir teachers, Mrs. Roner and Mrs. Block. Bella just jumped up. My surprise favorite would definitely have to be Mrs. Abbott, my AP government teacher, because I was never really into government or politics or current events or anything like that, and I think she probably was the first teacher to actually make me be somewhat interested. I'm still not really that interested, but I remember I did enjoy her class a lot, even though I only had her for one semester in high school. I also liked that not only did she teach government, she was on our town council, so she was actually doing what she taught, and I thought that was really cool, especially as a high school student. Another one of my favorite teachers from high school would definitely have to be Dr. Kemmer. He was my freshman honors English teacher. From what I recall, his doctorate wasn't even in English, it was in finance. But he was really a fun teacher. I attribute my knowledge of nominative and objective pronouns solely to him. And so I am definitely more of a grammar Nazi because of Dr. Kemmer. I mean, partially also because of Mrs. Cook in 8th grade, but you said high school, so. So I hope that answers your question. I don't really have a favorite, but those are my favorites. Okay, so I answered that question, so now you have to answer it too. You can't just leave it open-ended, have one of us answer it and then not the other. But I will also pose a second question. Okay, Dustin, what is your favorite memory of us? Let's see, what would my favorite in-person moment be? I mean, besides the obvious, like when you propose, that's kind of too obvious. That's a very good moment. Ooh. We'll have to talk about how you proposed later, but not in this one. I think my favorite in-person memory would definitely have to be 1 week before you proposed. No, not that. Not when you rear-ended me on the freeway. That's not my favorite. No, my favorite moment happened right before that when you surprised me at my school. I wasn't expecting you until really late at night, and so I was just, gonna go home, have dinner, but you were already waiting in the parking lot of my school with a dozen roses. And that made me smile really big. I liked being surprised. I still do. So in closing, those two questions. Number 1, who was your favorite high school teacher or teachers? And number 2, what is your favorite moment from our history? And Gracie wanted to make a cameo. And with that, au revoir.